Hi, welcome to AP Daily Computer Science Principles, Topic 3.12 Calling Procedures, Video 1. My name is Bradley Bearden and I teach in Dadeville, Alabama, and I would like to invite you to invite a friend to take computer science. So, what will we learn? In today's video, we will focus on what happens in our program code if we call a procedure. Now, I want to talk for just a second about what a procedure is. It's a named group of programming instructions. I like to say that it's a group of program instructions with a purpose, and then we give it a good descriptive name that tells us about that purpose. Now, we're going to split procedures up into two categories, or we're going to split procedures up based on whether or not it returns a data type or returns some kind of value. So let's say we have some kind of procedure that just does something. Maybe it moves something around the screen or just displays something, but doesn't return a value. Well, that procedure call, uh, we just use the procedure name to call it along with the arguments. We'll look more at that in a minute. And then on the other hand, let's say we have a procedure that does return some kind of value. Maybe it returns a number or a Boolean like true or false. We want that number to be useful or that Boolean to be useful. So when we call the procedure, we're immediately going to, in the procedure call, we're going to assign that to a variable. And again, we'll take a look at that in a minute, a little bit more, but really, so we're going to focus on procedures that do return values and that do not. So, and also you need to make sure to review the exam reference sheet for working with robots in a grid. So let's just take a look at an example. Suppose that we have the code here and you'll notice the procedure on the right, detour right. It's just a set of instructions and there is no return for this procedure. So you'll notice on the left, we just use the name of the procedure detour right to call the procedure. So we want to know what happens with the code on the left. So we're going to focus on the left-hand side and evaluating that code segment. So we start by moving forward, we move forward again, and then it brings us to the procedure detour right. Now, what will happen is then we will go to the procedure detour right and we will work through that set of instructions. Rotate right, move forward, rotate left, move forward, rotate left, move forward, rotate right. And that's the end of the procedure. So again, focus on the left, and we're going to continue on with the rest of the program code because we're going to go back from the procedure to the program code. We're going to move forward and we're going to rotate right. So notice that when we're working the code on the left, if we come across the procedure call, we leave, go to that procedure call, go through that procedure, and then return and come back where we left off. So this is where the robot would end up if you follow the code on the left. Let's take another look below. Now, there's some differences on this procedure that we didn't have before. So for example, you'll notice in the procedure summarize that in the parentheses we have two parameters, number A and number B. And you'll notice on the procedure below that, minimum, we also have two parameters as well, number one, number two. So the first procedure does not have a return value and the second procedure does. So we're going to look at how all that plays out. But again, we're going to focus on the left-hand side and the procedure call there. It says summarize -8, -12. So -8 and -12 are arguments in our procedure call. and those arguments match with the parameters in their procedure. So -8 would match with number A, and -12 would match with number B. And so those are the values that we will use throughout this procedure. So remember, -8 and -12 are the arguments, and number A and number B are what we call the parameters. So let's pass those arguments through the function and let's see what happens. Well, the very first thing is a reference to the procedure below, minimum for number 1 and number 2. So we're going to have to leave this procedure and go to the procedure below. And we're going to use, again, the same arguments that we passed through, -8 and -12. Well, -8 is not less than -12. So we'll skip that, and we're going to return the second number, which is -12. So we'll exit that procedure and go back to where we were before. -12 is assigned to the minimum. We'll display the minimum number is, and then we'll display the minimum. So again, I want you to focus on the two calls here. Summarize -8 and -12, reference the procedure summarize, and then the call there in red reference the procedure minimum. And make sure you understand why on the minimum we had to assign it to a variable, because the procedure minimum gives a return value. Summarize did not, and so we just called that procedure by using its name. Now, let's practice. You have some program code below that references the procedure on the right. I want you to evaluate that program code below on the left. I want you to pause the video, and we'll come back and see how you did. How'd you do? Well, let's look through it. So again, we have a procedure with a return value. Our argument is 4.7, and we start passing that argument through. We get 47. When you mod 10, you get 7. You subtract that, you get 40. Divide by 10, you get 4. Because that value is true, that temp digit of 7 is more than 5, we're going to return the value 4. So 4.7 was rounded up to 5, and we'll display 5. And we'll try the same thing with 3.2. That's our argument. We pass it through, and you can see the results. But remember, when we got to here, it was false. So it skips and goes to the other return. In fact, there's something I forgot to mention on a previous part, so I want to bring it back up to your attention. If you'll notice on the previous one, that as soon as it was true, we returned temp plus 1. We never even got to that bottom return. But that's okay, because when you come across return in a procedure, you immediately exit the procedure, even if you're not all the way through the procedure. Okay? So I was hoping that maybe when you did that, you caught that. And then again, on the other one, we didn't return to the end, so we returned 3. So I hope you were able to take the code on the left and produce that on display 5 and then 3. And you understand how to work through, and as soon as it calls the procedure, go to the procedure, go through it, and then come back to the regular code. Okay? And so again, another idea I think you should do is take this and go back in whatever programming language you're using and see if you can't put this idea into use in your programming language. So what should we take away? You should be able to work with a procedure call in a code segment and be able to determine the result or effect. Thank you.